Today is February 28th, 2006. This is the Veterans History Project of the Library of Congress of the United States, in partnership with the Historical Society of Laguna Woods, California. This interview is taking place and being taped by the Video Club of Laguna Woods. Clifford Chris Grimley was born on July 23, 1926. He served in the Navy, and then he served in the Army Air Force. He's being interviewed by me, Carly Lutzow. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
Tell me, where were you born?
I was born in Endicott, New York.
And you lived there most of your life or nearby?
No, we only lived there for about 6 months. And then we moved to a rural area about 5 miles from Endicott. Rented a house for approximately a year. In that interim, my father bought 12 acres of land and proceeded to build a 4-room house with the expectations of enlarging it, which he did, to 7 rooms and a bath.
Wow.
But that
took time.
Came a little bit later because I did experience the outhouse.
Do you have brothers or sisters?
I have one brother. In fact, his birthday is March 3rd, and he will be 76.
Well, interesting. Now then, you, in this new place that you live, did you go to high school there too, or did?
No. We had 12 acres of land, and we raised truck garden, which we visited a farmer's market where my father worked once a week and sold our produce and eggs and chickens to supplement his income. This is, of course, all during the Depression.
Yes, so that was a good thing to have. Did he work at
We lived like kings and queens.
Well, you had food, didn't you?
Yes.
Did he work at another job? Did this besides, or was that basically what?
My father worked for Endicott Johnson in the tanneries, and he worked there for 45 years.
Well.
Started when he was 17.
Oh my goodness. So then where did you go to high school?
I went to high school in Newark Valley, New York. That's where we moved to after my father had purchased a larger farm. He was a country boy by nature.
He really did do a lot of farming.
A sucker for work.
Sounds like it. Did you have to help too?
Everybody helped.
It takes that kind of whole family to make a farm work.
Oh, yes.
When did you go into service?
I went into service in 1942.
And what service did you go into then?
I went into the Navy. I was only 16 years old.
Did you get permission from your family?
Oh, yes. You didn't do anything without permission.
That's for sure. And then what happened when you were in the Navy? Did you go to basic training or some of those things?
Oh, yes. I went to basic training in Sampson, New York, and it was icy.
Icy?
About 10 degrees below zero.
Oh, for goodness sake.
On the lake all the time we were there.
I see.
Which was only approximately 6 weeks.
And then what happened after that?
After that, I came to Vallejo, California, thank God.
Well, did you stay in the Navy, or did you make some other arrangements?
I stayed in the Navy for 4 years,
Uh-huh.
until 1946, and then came back to Hawaii for R&R, and while I was there, the Army Air Force was hot after experienced people. So I applied. I'd had enough of the salt air and was accepted. I went from there.
And then did you have to do a basic type training with the Army Air Force?
Well, I went to school, actually.
Where was that?
In Kellyfield, Texas.
Okay.
That's actually located in San Antonio.
Uh-huh.
And there I went to navigational school to be a navigator. And actually they ended up having too many navigators before I got out of school.
So then what happened to you?
So then they sent me to an engineering school
Uh-huh.
in Biloxi, Mississippi. And I completed that and was promoted to the rank of warrant officer. And we stayed there for some time. That was quite a lengthy program. And then in 1947, I was sent to Germany. And that was about the time they were building up for the airlift in Germany.
Uh-huh.
So we proceeded. I must insert a little comment here. We were not on the American sector. We were sent to the British sector and actually flew all the aircraft from a British base in the country of Germany.
Oh.
It was one base they had taken over. And we were doing all of our flying and landing on landing mats. I'm sure these fellows are familiar with that.
Uh-huh.
That's a
Explain it.
steel mat.
Uh-huh.
That was our runways. It was there for about 3 years and then returned to the States.
And you said you went to engineering school. What was your job then with the Air Force?
Nothing was relative. They put you where they needed you.
Uh-huh.
So consequently, I went to the tower, which had the control of all aircraft departing and arriving.
Uh-huh. Well, that should have been interesting.
It was exciting, very exciting, because I also had the authority to send all the aircraft to Burton Wood, England, when they were due for major inspections. So we had to maintain the hours that they operated.
Uh-huh.
And after that little episode, I met a German girl there by the name of Margaret and got within that close to marriage. But in the American chaplains and the American generals discouraged that wholeheartedly.
They did?
In fact, it was impossible.
Oh, my goodness.
But there were a few fellows that carried on the correspondence for several years and did have the perseverance to marry a German girl later on.
But you didn't?
But I didn't, no. I left brokenhearted.
Broken heart at the time.
Yes.
So you stayed there for 3 years, you said about?
Yes.
And then what did you do then?
Then I was shipped to Fort Dix in New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And they said, we'll have you out of here in 3 days, which they did, which was unique and unusual for the service. Nobody ever moved very fast. So from there, I took a 30-day leave at home in New York. And upon completion of that, I was sent to Norton Air Force Base in San Bernardino.
Uh-huh.
And there I was placed back in the engineering department and stayed there for about 3 years, married in San Bernardino, had 3 girls, and today those 3 girls are 53, 54, and 55. So you see, time has elapsed.
Yes, it has. Well, do your daughters live near here, or do you get to see them much?
I have 2 daughters in Denver and 1 in Reno. 6 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren.
Well, that's kind of nice.
So that's our exciting chapter of life at the present time.
When you left service, about what year, do you remember that? About when it was?
1963.
I see. And what was your rank when you left?
I was still a warrant officer first grade. They have several grades.
Uh-huh.
And once you're a warrant officer, it's almost impossible to get out of it.
Did you like it?
Yes, I liked it because nobody knew who you were or what you were. You were sort of in between everything.
So you spent a good deal of time of your life in service.
Quite a bit, yes.
Yes.
3 girls. In fact, a strange experience I had a crew of men, and we came down to Santa Ana and dismantled the building on the old Santa Ana air base, I guess it was, and took that back to San Bernardino and built a hospital.
Oh my.
And my oldest girl was one of the first ones born there.
In the hospital.
Yeah.
Well, you have had a varied experience, haven't
yeah.
you? After you left service, what did you do then?
Well, my wife at that time was involved with her father in operating a furniture business in San Bernardino. So consequently, I became part of the furniture business as well and took off from that point.
Uh-huh. Did you stay with that business?
I did for quite a while. I became an interior designer, and we moved to Hollywood, actually near the San Fernando Valley.
You were in the furniture business and then that got into design work?
Well, I was basically a manager at the store and a buyer before that situation dissolved, for lack of a better word, marriage and all. So therefore, I made a move to San Fernando Valley, which is near Hollywood. Became very deeply involved in interior design work and was very fortunate in meeting many of the Hollywood people, which were very nice, in fact. Enjoyed working with them and had a nice relationship.
We touched only briefly on the fact that you were in the Navy before you went into the Army Air Force. What did you do with the Navy?
Well, my Navy experience was very short. I was on the USS Scott in the Marshall Islands. We took a direct hit.
You did, a direct hit.
On a forward 5-inch turret.
And were you involved in that yourself?
I was the only one that survived.
Oh my goodness. No wonder that's an emotional experience to remember.
You wouldn't think so after
No,
50 years.
but it all comes back when you think about it. So did that get you, did you get out of the Navy at that point? Were you injured?
Well, shortly thereafter, because I had a very lengthy rehabilitation, and that kind of, it all worked together for best, I guess, to when I transferred over to the Air Force.
Were you injured badly?
Well,
Enough, huh?
everything's a matter of opinion.
But you survived and the others did not.
I survived, yes.
Well, that was very good. Let's go back to where you were.
In fact, this, you'll notice that little patch there, I had almost half of my face taken off here.
Oh my goodness.
But they got it back together in good shape.
They certainly fixed you up. So you did have a very lengthy rehabilitation then.
Yes. And of course, medical facilities were not nearly as advanced as they are today.
That's for sure, yeah.
But God had another plan.
Yes. Well, then you entered in the Air Force, and then when you got out of the Air Force, you were in the furniture business, and then you went into the design business.
Well, the design business is associated
with the
with the
furniture?
furniture business, yes.
You said you worked with some Hollywood types. Can you tell us any of them that you remember?
Well, one of the first ones was Clint Eastwood.
Really?
When he was doing Rawhide, that was just, I think, the first thing he ever did on TV.
Uh-huh.
And several of his crew, never forget, the cook on Rawhide was Whiskers. And the Whiskers looked like he was about 90, but he had a bride of about 23.
Oh, for goodness sake.
And Giselle McKenzie, I've worked with her quite a bit, and there were just name dropping doesn't do a whole lot for me anymore.
But you did work with these people. It might have made it very interesting.
Yes, I did. And the fortunate thing about it was they were happy with my quality of work and passed the word on.
Very
good.
So
it made life pretty exciting. And sometimes I can remember specifically one man who was the president of Litton Industries.
Uh-huh.
He asked me to come to Salt Lake City to do a home for him, and I used to do things like that.
And how long did you stay with that?
Oh dear.
Well, let's say, when did you decide to leave there?
I actually retired from that about, I guess in 71 or 2.
Okay.
Around that vicinity. I was involved in a lot of things.
For instance?
I was in management and buying and designing as well, and selling.
Well, you were involved in a lot of things.
Yes.
And you say you retired in the 70s? What, did you stay where you were?
Well, from that point, my wife was a full-time school teacher, so I got into management of apartment buildings
Uh-huh.
and that sort of thing.
And you did that until what brought you to Leisure World?
Well, we got another story going there.
Okay, tell me.
We went to Palm Springs. I have a good friend here in Leisure World, and he and I got together, and I went to work for him in the jewelry business. And we used to visit all the fairs on the fair circuit, and would then we might be at a fair for a week or 2 weeks, and we sold gold jewelry of various degrees. Some of it was gold plated, but a lot of it was 10 and 12 and 20 karat. And we did that for several years. My wife and I should say, did that. Then when we did that for about 8 years, retired from that and went to Palm Springs, where we had spent our winters for some time, and took up permanent residence. And on getting there, somebody stumbled across us and said, "We need a manager for a mobile home park."
Oh.
So we managed a mobile home park there. Retired from that, went to San Diego, got there and inadvertently encountered another man who owned a retirement residence for seniors. We had 112 seniors that had their own apartments, but we served 3 meals a day to them. And that, we found out we were growing old fast. So that was our last job, and we went back to Palm Springs to live. In the meantime, our friends whom we'd worked for became residents of Leisure World. And they said, "Chris, you got to come out here. It's a wonderful place." And I don't know anybody. So that got us on the move.
Uh-huh.
So he had to go to Germany for some time. He said, you come on and stay in my place and see how you like it.
Oh, wasn't that nice?
So it worked out perfect, and we looked around and we said, it looks good.
So you
So
came,
that's how we got to Leisure.
and you came in around, what, can you recall when you came here?
We came here just a couple of months afterwards. While we're in Leisure World, I told the lady there, I said, see if you can sell my place.
Uh-huh.
Well, she sold it
Okay.
before we got home.
Oh, for heaven's
And
sake.
so I decided that
That was a good time to move.
was a good sign. So here we are.
And so you've been here since about 2000, about 6
Yes.
years. Are you involved in anything in particular here? You play golf?
I play golf 3 times a week.
Well, isn't that
And
nice?
I figure as long as I can keep playing golf, I'm going to stay young.
You're right. Is that
So that's my major exercise. And of course, we're caregivers for my wife's brother, who is 87 and suffering badly with Parkinson's.
Oh, well, that's a full-time job, too.
Yeah, that sure is. So that's a story of my life.
Did you have anything you wanted to show us from your service time?
Well, I have a little plaque here that was given to me when I left the airlift. And back in those days, they weren't much for giving anybody in the service a whole lot. So that was about the extent of my memories of the airlift. I had some other things that I lost in a fire, but that was it.
Well, you've really had a varied experience, haven't you?
Well,
Both within service and in the life after service.
life after death.
Like, you came very close, and you're very fortunate to be here to enjoy this wonderful place.
Yes.
Is there anything else you might have thought about from your service experience you'd like to share?
Not really.
Well, I think
that was just a part of my life that is history.
That's right. But
And I am never one to go back over it and relive it too much.
I can see why. Yes. Well, thank you very much for coming. You've really had a interesting story to tell, and I've enjoyed having you. Thank you.
Thank you. I've enjoyed doing it.